Kingdom of Valeria had everything: golden palaces, glittering markets, and rivers that shined like silver under the sun. Yet hidden between those bright streets was a story few people knew, a story about a prince who had everything, and a poor tailor who had nothing, except a heart full of kindness. People often say wealth can buy power, comfort, and respect. But can it buy loyalty? Can it buy love? And can it buy the courage to sacrifice everything for someone else? One stormy night, when thunder roared over the palace towers, a single torn coat brought together two lives that were never meant to cross: the richest prince in the land and the poorest tailor in the kingdom. What began as a simple act of kindness soon turned into a test of truth, friendship, betrayal, and destiny. And by the time their story ended, the entire kingdom would learn that the value of a person is never measured by the gold in their pockets, but by the goodness in their heart. Stay with this story until the end, because the choice one poor tailor makes will change the fate of a prince forever. Chapter 1. Prince Adrian was known throughout Valeria as the richest prince the kingdom had ever seen. His palace was filled with chandeliers made of crystal, carpets from distant lands, and treasures collected from every corner of the world. Servants followed his every step, guards protected his gates, and ministers bowed before him. Yet despite all the wealth surrounding him, Prince Adrian often felt strangely empty. Every day in the palace followed the same pattern. The prince woke up, attended royal meetings, practiced sword fighting, and listened to advisors discussing trade, taxes, and politics. Everyone treated him with respect, but none of it felt real. Their smiles seemed forced, their compliments rehearsed. Sometimes Adrian wondered if anyone in the kingdom truly cared about him, or if they only cared about his crown. One evening, tired of the palace walls, Prince Adrian disguised himself in simple clothes and quietly left the royal gates. He wanted to see the real kingdom, the part that didn't exist in royal reports. As he walked through the busy streets of Valeria, he noticed something he had never truly seen before. The rich markets glittered with expensive jewelry and fine silk, but just a few streets away lived people struggling to survive. Small houses leaned against each other like tired travelers. Children ran barefoot through dusty roads, and tired workers returned home after long days. That it was a world far different from the palace. As Adrian walked through one narrow alley, rain suddenly began to fall heavily. Thunder echoed across the sky, and the wind grew fierce. Searching for shelter, the prince noticed a small wooden shop with a faded sign that read, "Samuel's Tailoring." Inside the shop, a thin, middle-aged man sat beside a dim lantern, carefully stitching a torn jacket. His clothes were simple and worn, yet his hands worked with incredible care and patience. This was Samuel, the poorest tailor in the kingdom. Samuel lived alone in a tiny room behind his shop. Every day, he worked from sunrise to midnight, repairing clothes for people who could barely afford to pay him. Yet despite his poverty, Samuel never refused anyone who needed help. When the prince stepped inside, water dripping from his clothes, Samuel looked up and immediately stood. "You look freezing, young man," Samuel said kindly. "Come inside. Sit near the lantern." Adrian was surprised. The man didn't ask who he was or where he came from. He simply offered warmth. "My coat is torn," Adrian said carefully, trying to hide his royal accent. Samuel smiled gently. "Then you've come to the right place." He examined the coat and began stitching it carefully, as if it were a priceless treasure. The tailor worked. Adrian watched him curiously. The shop was poor, very poor. The wooden table was cracked, the shelves were nearly empty, and rain leaked through a small hole in the roof. Yet Samuel hummed quietly while working, as if he were completely content. After finishing the repair, Samuel handed the coat back. "There," he said. "Good as new." Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out several gold coins. Samuel quickly shook his head. No, no, that's too much. I only charge a few copper coins." "But this is gold," Adrian insisted. Samuel smiled softly. "Kindness should not be expensive." Those simple words stunned the prince.